Commander Jace Morrow crawled through the shattered remnants of Outpost Vega, the once thriving human colony now reduced to jagged concrete and twisted metal under Covidian bombardment. The air reeked of ozone and charred materials, while the planet's twin moons cast eerie blue shadows across the desolation. As a combat medic attached to the 47th Scout Division, Jace was accustomed to horror. But nothing in his 12 years of service had prepared him for what he found in the collapsed remains of the colony's research wing. A sound, half gurgle, half wheeze, drew him to a pile of rubble. Training his light into the darkness, Jace recoiled instinctively. Huddled in the corner was a creature that defied biological classification. Its skin was a nightmare patchwork. Scales erupted from suppurating wounds, while chitinous plates fused with what might have once been flesh. Multiple limbs twisted at impossible angles, and a cluster of unmatched eyes swiveled independently in what approximated a head. The stench of rot and chemical burn emanated from the creature. Standard protocol was clear. Unknown xenoforms in contested territory were to be neutralized immediately. Jace's hand moved to his sidearm, but stopped. One of the creature's eyes, a startling violet amid the horror, fixed on him with unmistakable intelligence. Pain. Awareness. Please, the creature rasped, its mandibles clicking around the unmistakably feminine voice. End it. Instead, Jace knelt beside the xenoform, medical training overriding military doctrine. I'm a medic. I can help. The creature's laugh was a horrific sound. There is no help for this. Let me try anyway, Jace insisted, already scanning the twisted form with his medunit. The readings made no sense, genetic patterns shifting even as he watched, tissues rebuilding themselves in chaotic, purposeless ways. He worked through the night, applying regenerative compounds, pain blockers, stabilizers, anything from his kit that might slow whatever biological catastrophe was unfolding. Twice, Covidian patrols passed nearby, forcing them into tense silence, huddled together in the darkness. Why do this? The alien asked as dawn approached, her voice marginally clearer after Jace's treatments. I am enemy. I didn't sign up to let wounded die, no matter who they are, Jace replied, administering another cellular stabilizer. Besides, you don't look like any Covidian I've ever seen. Not Covidian, she managed. Punishment. Failure. Before Jace could question further, the creature convulsed violently. He held her still as the seizure passed, noting with clinical detachment that her form seemed to be attempting some kind of metamorphosis, failing, but trying nonetheless. You should run, she whispered when the convulsion subsided, eyes now a deep amber. Before I change again. Change how? Jace asked, but she had lapsed into unconsciousness. He established a makeshift shelter using debris and stealth netting, creating a hidden pocket within the ruins. Enemy sensors would find nothing but rubble, assuming his jury-rigged signal dampeners held. As night fell again, Jace watched the aliens' tortured breathing, wondering what series of events had brought them both to this moment. The war between humans and Covidians had raged across 3 systems for 8 years, yet this creature fit no known classification from either side. What are you? He whispered to her unconscious form. Outside, search parties moved through the ruins more purposefully now. They weren't looking for human survivors, Jace realized. They were hunting something specific. They were hunting her. In her restless sleep, the alien's form seemed to ripple, momentarily revealing glimpses of something else beneath the horror. Something sleek, elegant, powerful. Then the moment passed, and she was once again the grotesque aberration. Jace settled in for a long watch, one hand on his medkit, the other on his blaster. Whatever she was, whoever she was, he had made his choice. The oath he'd taken as a medic superseded everything else, even his own survival. He didn't yet understand that this single act of compassion would alter the course of the war, reshape the destiny of 2 species, and ultimately, change the face of the galaxy itself. 3 days had passed since Ellis found the alien creature. They'd relocated to the basement of an abandoned research facility, its thick walls shielding them from detection. The acidic rains had stopped, but KH-Roddy patrols had doubled in frequency, suggesting a coordinated search rather than routine sweeps. Ellis changed the bandages on what he assumed was her arm. The limb had shifted overnight, becoming more articulated but no less grotesque. The mutations seemed to ebb and flow like tides, sometimes revealing glimpses of a more humanoid form beneath the horror. You should have left by now, she said, watching him work. Her voice had changed too, gaining melodic undertones despite the clicking mandibles. My squad thinks I'm dead. Command isn't expecting reports. Ellis shrugged. Besides, you still can't walk. I warned you about the changes. Her largest eye, now a deep indigo, fixed on him. Aren't you frightened? Ellis considered the question as he applied fresh regenerative gel. Medically, you're fascinating. Biologically impossible, actually. But frightening. He shook his head. No. What's your name? She was silent for so long he thought she wouldn't answer. Names have power, she finally said. But you may call me Nix for now. That's not a K.H. Roddy name, Ellis observed. I am not K.H. Roddy. Not exactly. She shifted, wincing. What brings a healer to this slaughter? Your kind are rare in war. Ellis sat back against the wall, fatigue evident in the slump of his shoulders. I joined after the Ceres massacre. My family, they were colonists there. I am sorry, Nick said with surprising gentleness. This war was never meant to touch civilian worlds. Wars never stay where they're meant to. Ellis replied bitterly. What about you? What are you doing here, alone, hunted by your own kind? Nix's form seemed to ripple, the horror of her appearance momentarily intensifying before settling again. I refused an order. In my culture, disobedience is costly. Must have been one hell of an order. They wanted me to authorize deployment of the Void Seed on human-populated worlds. When Ellis looked blank, she elaborated. A bioweapon that unravels genetic code, rebuilds it randomly. Endless suffering, endless mutation. What you see before you is but a taste of its potential. Horror dawned on Ellis's face. They did this to you. A limited dose. A reminder of my place. Bitterness tinged her voice. I am to be an example. That night, as Ellis slept fitfully, Nix watched him. Such fragility in human form. So easily broken. Yet this one possessed a strength her own people, for all their physical superiority, often lacked. Compassion without expectation of reward. Kindness without advantage. She sensed the patrols growing closer. Time was running short. Near dawn, Ellis woke to find Nix's condition visibly worse, her form more chaotic, more painful. What's happening? He demanded, reaching for his supplies. The punishment progresses in phases, she whispered through clenched mandibles. The final stage approaches. You must go. Not happening. Ellis administered a pain suppressant from his dwindling supplies. We'll find a way through this. Why? She asked, genuine confusion in her alien features. Why risk yourself for this? She gestured at her twisted form. Ellis was quiet for a moment, hands steady as he worked. Because I see you fighting. Whatever's happening to your body, you're still you inside. That's worth saving. Nix's eyes widened slightly. Among her people, physical perfection was paramount. The body was the self. This human understood something even her own kind had forgotten. They will find us soon, she warned. And when they do, you will learn why they hunt me so desperately. Let them come, Ellis said, with more confidence than he felt. We've survived this long. Outside, the first light of Helix 9's red sun crawled across the ruins. And with it came the distant sound of K.H. Roddy troop carriers, closing in on their position. They had moved deeper into the ruins, following maintenance tunnels Ellis discovered on an old facility schematic. The K.H. Roddy search patterns were methodical but predictable, allowing them to stay one sector ahead of the search teams. Nix's condition continued to fluctuate. Today, her form had stabilized somewhat, still grotesque by human standards, but the random mutations had slowed. Ellis found himself growing accustomed to her alienness, focusing instead on the intelligence in her indigo eyes, the grace in her movements despite her damaged body. You're staring again, she observed as they shared a meal of reconstituted rations. Sorry, Ellis said, not sounding particularly apologetic. You look different today. The cycle ebbs, she explained. For a time, I can control it better. She studied him with an intensity that made him shift uncomfortably. You've never asked what I truly am. I figured you'd tell me when you were ready. Nix made a sound that might have been laughter. Such patience. Rare in your kind. She set aside her unfinished ration. What do you know of K.H. Roddy society? Military briefings mostly. Hierarchical, technologically advanced, expansionist. 3 distinct castes. Ellis shrugged. The usual know your enemy propaganda. Not entirely inaccurate, Nix conceded. But incomplete. My people are shapeshifters by nature. What you see as our form is merely a battle configuration. Ellis's eyes widened. You mean the K.H. Roddy soldiers are not what they truly are, yes. Nix's form rippled slightly. Our natural state is energy and consciousness, given physical form through advanced biotechnology. We choose our shapes based on function. And what's your function? Ellis asked quietly. Nix looked away. Was Valara Anzari, High Counselor of the KHRati Ascendancy. My function was governance. Strategy. The continuation of our species through expansion. Ellis went very still. You're their leader? One of them. Until I refused the Void Seed deployment. Her mandibles clicked in what Ellis now recognized as agitation. What you see is not random mutation. It is deliberate humiliation, stripping me of my chosen form, forcing me into this discarded shape. A reminder of what awaits failed species we conquer. The implications dawn slowly. You're at war with your own people. They believe supremacy is our birthright, Valara said softly. That other species are merely evolutionary dead ends. I once believed this too, until I witnessed humanity's resilience on Ceres. Your people refused evacuation to save others. Sacrificed themselves despite knowing they could not win. She met his gaze. It disturbed me deeply. Compassion usually does disturb tyrants, Ellis said, unable to keep the edge from his voice. Yes. She accepted his judgment without defense. And now I am neither ruler nor tyrant. Simply a fugitive in a failed form. Ellis was quiet for a long moment, processing. Finally, he asked, if your people are natural shapeshifters, why can't you change back? The Void Seed contains a genetic lock. It binds me to this form, prevents transformation. Her voice turned bitter. A reminder of my place, to witness the horror I refuse to inflict upon others. There must be a way to reverse it. Perhaps. The primary research facility is on this planet. But it is heavily guarded, and I am compromised. Ellis surprised himself by reaching out, placing his hand on what approximated her shoulder. The first voluntary touch he'd initiated that wasn't medical treatment. We'll find a way. Valara stared at his hand, then at his face. Genuine confusion in her alien features. Why would you help me? I am part of the leadership that ordered the death of your family. You're also the one who stood against it, Ellis said simply. That counts for something. As night fell, they sat in companionable silence, the distance between human and alien narrowing with each passing hour. Outside, the search continued, but inside their sanctuary, something unexpected was taking root, understanding, trust. Perhaps even something more. Ellis, Valara said quietly as he prepared to sleep, your kindness is unprecedented in my experience. You saw this form, this punishment, and still treated me as worthy of dignity. That's not kindness, he murmured, already half asleep. That's just being human. Valara watched him sleep, contemplating how a species so physically vulnerable could possess such profound spiritual strength. For the first time since her exile began, she felt something dangerous take hold in her heart. Hope. The research facility loomed against Helix 9's blood-red sky, its gleaming spires incongruous among the surrounding destruction. From their vantage point on a ridge 2 kilometers away, Ellis studied it through his tactical scope. 3 perimeter layers, automated defense systems, and at least 2 full battalions, he reported grimly. Getting in won't be easy. Getting in is impossible, Valara corrected, her voice stronger than it had been days before. Her form had stabilized further, still alien and fearsome, but with a terrible elegance emerging from the chaos. For us, but not for you alone. Ellis lowered the scope. I'm not leaving you behind. The genetic lock that binds me can only be released from the central laboratory, she explained. The security systems are keyed to KHRati biosignatures. You, a human, might pass undetected through certain sectors. And once I'm inside, I don't exactly know how to operate alien biotech. Valara's hand, now more defined with long, articulated fingers, touched her temple. I can provide you with a memory imprint. Temporary access to my knowledge of the systems. That sounds invasive. It is intimate, she acknowledged, her indigo eyes holding his. Among my people, memory sharing is reserved for those with profound bonds. But there is no alternative. Before Ellis could respond, his motion sensor vibrated against his wrist. Someone's coming. Multiple signatures. He grabbed his pack. We need to move. They descended the ridge rapidly, using the dense violet vegetation for cover. But the KHRati patrol had anticipated their route. Plasma fire erupted from 3 directions, scorching the foliage around them. Run. Valara pushed Ellis toward a narrow ravine. They want me, not you. Ellis grabbed her arm, pulling her along. Not happening. They fled deeper into the ravine, but the tactical display showed more signatures converging ahead. They were being herded. Ellis. Veilira stopped, her alien features set with determination. You must go. Take the eastern passage. I will draw them west. That's suicide and you know it. I have led armies, Commander Reeves. Trust my tactical assessment. A plasma bolt struck nearby, showering them with superheated rock fragments. Ellis winced as one sliced his cheek. Fine, he growled. But I'm coming back for you. That's not negotiable. Something softened in Veilira's expression. You are unlike any being I have encountered in centuries of existence. She reached out, her transformed hand gentle against his wounded cheek. Go. Ellis ran east as planned, but after 50 meters, doubled back through a drainage culvert, circling behind the HFY patrol. He had no illusions about outfighting them, but distraction was another matter. Setting his last 2 concussion charges on a timer, he positioned them to trigger a rock slide between Veilira and her pursuers. The explosion came just as he spotted her cornered against a cliff face, surrounded by 4 HFY soldiers. The rock slide did its work, crushing 2 instantly and cutting off reinforcements. Ellis dropped the remaining 2 with precision shots from his plasma rifle. I told you to run, Veilira said as he reached her, but there was no anger in her voice, only a strange wonder. I'm not good at following orders, Ellis replied, helping her over the rubble. Come on, we need to. The shot came from nowhere, a plasma bolt striking him squarely in the back. Ellis crumpled mid-sentence, shock written across his features. No. Veilira caught him as he fell, lowering him behind cover as she returned fire with his fallen weapon, driving back the hidden sniper. Ellis's breathing came in shallow gasps, the wound catastrophic even to her untrained eye. Human bodies were so fragile, so easily broken. His lips moved, forming words she couldn't hear over the continued weapon's fire. She leaned closer. Worth it, he whispered, blood staining his lips. Helping you. Worth it. Something broke inside Veilira. A barrier, a limitation, the final chains of her punishment. In that moment, watching this human fade for her sake, the genetic lock that bound her twisted form wavered. Stay with me, Ellis, she commanded, gathering him into her arms. You saw me at my worst. Her body began to glow with internal light, the monstrous shell cracking like an egg. Now you've earned the right to see what I truly am. As consciousness slipped away from him, Ellis witnessed her transformation, the horror melting away, replaced by radiance that seemed to bend reality itself. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was not a monster, not even a woman, but a queen. Ellis awoke to unfamiliar sensations, weightlessness, warmth, and the absence of pain where agony should have been. He floated in a translucent amber fluid, breathing normally despite being submerged. Beyond the curved glass of what appeared to be a regeneration chamber, a figure watched him with patient attention. She was magnificent in a way human language strained to describe. Tall and regal, her form both solid and somehow luminous, as if reality itself bent slightly in her presence. Her skin shimmered with iridescent patterns that shifted with her movements, and her eyes, the same indigo he remembered, now held galaxies of light. Ellis pressed a hand against the glass. The chamber drained rapidly, and as the lid retracted, he found himself standing face to face with Veilira's true form. You should be dead, she said without preamble, her voice musical and resonant without the constraints of her previous form. The wound was fatal. Ellis touched his back where the plasma bolt had struck. Smooth skin, no scar. How? I am sovereign ascendant of the HFY, she said, as if that explained everything. Perhaps it did. Our technology can rebuild cellular structures, reverse entropy in living systems. Though I had to improvise somewhat for human physiology. They stood in a vast chamber unlike anything Ellis had seen in the research facility schematics. Panoramic viewports revealed not Helix 9's surface, but the starfield of deep space. We're on a ship, he realized aloud. My ship, Veilira corrected. Or rather, the Sovereign's vessel. When I broke the genetic lock, my biometric signature reactivated dormant systems, including this craft, hidden beneath the facility. Ellis studied her, trying to reconcile this radiant being with the broken creature he'd found in the ruins. This is the real you? One aspect. She moved closer, her movements fluid grace. My people exist in many forms, But this, she gestured to herself, is what I am when I rule. You're beautiful, Ellis said simply, then immediately felt foolish. Commenting on the appearance of an alien monarch seemed wildly inappropriate. But Veilira smiled, an expression somehow both alien and familiar on her transformed features. In my culture, beauty is truth made manifest. I am as I am meant to be. She took his hand, her touch warm and electric. As are you, Ellis Reeves. Through the viewport, Ellis watched as they accelerated away from Helix 9. What happens now? Now. Veilira's expression turned serious. Civil war. My emergence will already have sent shockwaves through the ascendancy. The genetic lock was believed unbreakable. Its failure will undermine the Council's authority. And what does that mean for humanity? For the war? That depends, she said carefully, on whether I stand alone. Understanding dawned slowly. You want my help? I want far more than that, Ellis. The intensity in her gaze made his breath catch. You saw beyond the horror they made me. You treated me with dignity when I had none. These are not merely personal debts. They represent values my people have forgotten. She guided him to a control interface that shimmered into existence at her gesture. It displayed star systems, battle groups, deployment patterns, the entire theater of war. The KHRD follows strength above all, she continued. When I return claiming the right of sovereign ascendant, many will rally to me. But to truly change our path, to end this war and forge peace, I need something my people have never had. What's that? A human perspective. A voice that understands compassion is not weakness. Her hand tightened on his. I need you, Ellis. Not just as an ally, but as... She hesitated, searching for words. As what? He asked softly. As consort to the sovereign, she said finally. It is unprecedented. But so is everything about this situation. Ellis's mind reeled at the implications. That sounds like a marriage proposal. It is a bond deeper than what your culture calls marriage, Veilira said seriously. A sharing of purpose, a vision, a future. A hint of vulnerability crossed her regal features. And yes, if you wish it, of hearts. The command deck fell silent save for the gentle hum of the ship's systems. Ellis looked at their joined hands, human and alien, yet fitting together perfectly. He thought of his family lost on Ceres, of countless others who had died in this conflict. If I say yes, he said finally, what do we become? Veilira's free hand gestured toward the stars spread before them. Architects of a new order. One where humans and KHRD share the cosmos rather than fight for it. Her eyes met his, intense and sincere. I have seen nobility in you that shames my people's supposed superiority. Together, we could reshape the stars. Ellis stepped closer, closing the distance between them. Human and alien, healer and queen, unlikely allies now on the verge of something unprecedented. I saw you at your worst, he whispered, echoing her words from before. And now I've seen what you truly are. His hand reached up to touch her luminous face. I'm still not running. Her smile was like dawn breaking after the longest night. As their lips met, an alien gesture she had clearly studied for his sake, the ship accelerated to faster-than-light speed, streaking toward the heart of the KHRD ascendancy. Toward revolution. Toward peace. Toward a future neither of them could have imagined in the ruins where they first met.